Well, hello there, everybody. How are y'all doing? We're doing fine. Thank you for asking. We were just talking and sharing puppy dog moments, and Bentley was here, but Bentley isn't here anymore. And Mike and Cindy is here. That means things are improving. They got internet, so that's a good
Yes.
thing. So we welcome all of you, no matter where you are, if wherever it is, make the best of it. If it's cold, well, keep warm. If it's warm, keep cool. Us humans, we're that dichotomy thing. But anyway, let me just speak favor over us all because that's what I do. And no matter what the reality, see, there's the puppy dog. Isn't she a beauty? What is her name?
Sassy.
Sassy.
Yeah,
I
Sassy
like that.
Susie. Sassy Susie.
Sassy
Sassy.
Susie.
That's a cool name. She's sassy. But anyway, we speak favor over all of us, even Sassy and Mr. Bentley. As we like to say, nothing missing, nothing broken. And whatever you do, I don't care what it is, please be kind to your mind. So that's where we are. It's Thursday, and this is typically when I have the privilege of meeting with Mike and Cindy from Evolutionary Healing Arts and their associated channels behind that. I think there's EEARTS and yeah. Anyway,
Yep.
Heart and Heart Zone.
EEARTS and
Yeah,
Heart
I
Zone.
just
Yep.
there you
I
go.
just got a message from YouTube. So today's actually the 3-year anniversary of Heart Zone.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it's been three
Congratulations.
years.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Excellent. Nothing wrong with that. And I'll tell you, if you're starting a channel on YouTube today, it's difficult. You
It's
know,
hard. Yeah.
It
Yeah.
is.
Yep.
When I
It's
was
more
the first
difficult.
channel I had was 2012. No one ever goes over there, but I think it's Wayne Steiger. But anyway, it's when I was really deep into sky photography and the whole Nibiru, Planet X, stitching. Then all of a sudden the freaking Sumerians come in and they just ruined everything. But anyway, um, and I think with this channel we're coming up June 15th, 2014. So this will be 12 years on this channel. So
Wow, Wayne. Well,
Longevity.
now I
Yeah.
want to go
longevity.
check out the other channel. I'm gonna have to go find it now.
You'll find, and it's really cool because a lot of my photography is over there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh,
And when I was really into that, I was living in Colorado, and there was something happening to the atmosphere. I mean, and I have not seen what I saw during that period of time. So yeah, check it out.
why
We
did
will.
you leave Colorado? Just kind of curious.
Uh, Primarily because the citizens of Colorado gave up their sovereignty, and I was tired of paying taxes to a government that did not respect my sovereignty or my citizen rights, and were giving away my tax dollars to non-citizens. And
Mhm.
any other country in the world, they would absolutely burn you to the stake, for foreigners coming in and doing that. And the politics were becoming so far left and the taxes on real estate, homes was becoming outrageous. And we decided, they talk about Colorado being the place to survive the cataclysm. I got news for all you folks in Colorado. You ain't going to be around there. You got dumbass people you vote into office. But anyway, Mike, to answer your question, we got the hell out of Dodge. And
You
we
know,
came.
that's it. I mean, it's just, California is beautiful and we have a lot of family members in California, but obviously, it's one of the heaviest tax states and, you can't go really any more farther left.
They're idiots. I mean, when I
Mhm.
was a member of the Council for National Policy, and look it up, it's if you want to have the definition of what the far left would call extreme far right, and it was a private club, but it was started by Ed Meese and a few others when Ronald Reagan was in office,
Mhm.
and it allowed for a fee you could have influence on the policymakers. So, and I look at California, and even back then we called it the communist state of, California because those people I mean, and they're humans. They're good people, loving people, done a lot of
Mhm.
business out there. But boy, when it comes to representation, people suddenly they lose all sense of identity and they take on identity politics, which is dangerous. You know,
Right.
identity politics is more of a cult and brainwashing than any religion would ever hope to be.
Mhm.
Right. Yeah. Well, just what you had said there, when you think about it, for a fee, you could influence things. I
Yeah.
mean, my God, it's just such out and out bribery, and there's nothing communal about it. There's no communism truly in anything that we see on planet Earth in that equal sharing of resources. It's totally
Mm-mm.
unequal,
Doesn't
completely.
exist.
No.
And it's part of one of the reasons, there were several reasons why we left, but I just I got so disillusioned because the problem with politics today is that you have a party that is of the same coin, just two different sides.
Right.
And it's how it's always been. The Republicans are just responsible for the financial collapse that the United States we're in the midst of, and just as much as the Democrats. And the sad thing, and I wrote a manifesto. I did a video when I used to do the Steiger report perspective. I had a much more broader opportunity until the death threats started coming, but that's
Yeah.
another
Oh, well.
story. But as I said, we need to do away with the two-party system. It's broken,
Mhm.
Mhm.
and it's
Mhm.
never going to be able to be fixed.
Mhm.
If I think of the founding fathers, the United States is not a democracy.
Mhm.
We are a republic. We are not a Christian nation. We are a nation that has no God. Although they make reference to it in the documents, we know by the Belfort Agreement of 1814, where the United States made the agreement with the Muslim nations that, and it is stated there, we have no national God, no national religion.
Mhm.
And that's why I think the founding fathers wanted. It was an opportunity to be free. But what you and I are living in today, and this is where this storm has now arrived, we don't have those personal freedoms. We don't have that personal, and we do not have representation in Congress. It was not to get to politics on this, but I've been there. And you know what? To get next to those policymakers, it does cost a lot of money. If you're an individual, it sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. But it goes back to ancient Rome too. So,
Hmm.
you saw the same sort of situation there.
It's still
Um,
Rome.
yeah, yeah,
We
it
just
still is.
changed the robes. That's all it is.
Yep.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
Well,
mean,
they put on their robes and their secret services and stuff,
they
and their
do.
rituals.
And the
Yeah.
House of Representatives is a temple. And the Senate is a different situation, but the House of Representatives, where we come together as representing one group, supposedly, it's a temple. No
Yeah.
one just asks what God it is. And that's the thing that gets me. I'm going, okay, come on, connect the dots. But anyway, and I doubt if today they would want me because I have shifted so much in my views and the gnosis that I have learned. When you start applying it to the realm of politics, the realm of religion, influence, money, etc., wow. And they think I'm eccentric because I believe in unseen forces. I walk the halls with both Jesus and the devil at the same time. You know?
Mhm.
So
Yep.
anyway.
I, I don't know if you saw our title on the video that we did this morning, because it really was um, about that. It's like the two sides of the coin, but it is one coin.
It
And
is.
the fact is, it goes back to Job. The devil and Satan, both of them are butt heads. And that's none of those are the creator. None of them are the real creator. They're just beings that are leeching off of us.
I never
And
thought of the Book of Job as a episode of Beavis and Butthead.
right?
Yep. Yep. I
I
mean,
like
they,
that.
Oh man, I can see it. Can you see that, Mike? Come on.
Yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah. No, totally, totally.
That's
It's
where
just like,
Cornholio comes in. I mean,
yeah,
you
yeah,
got to kiss
yeah,
some ass.
yeah.
yeah. Well, they should.
Mighty Cornholio, you will bow down to me.
Oh
They should
my
have just left
goodness.
humans well enough alone. We have a hard enough time with ourselves. We don't need help. We really don't.
They say where laughter is, the joy of the Lord is present. I'm
Right.
Yeah,
thinking
there
to
we go.
myself, well, I'm sorry, I'm going to play that out in my head later on, a Beavis and Butthead episode of playing the Book of Job out.
There you
Well,
go.
well, you only laugh because there's truth to it. So,
Yeah, it's true. Um, but anyway, moving right on along, but that's the system. The title of this, "The Storm of All Storms," is here, and it's coming in waves. And very quickly, I just said, "All right, so what are we really looking at as um, a nation, a society, a species, a civilization?" And when you think about what's happening right now in the Persian Gulf, I have to admit, I've been so deep into other things that I had not realized, but we have a freaking armada
Mhm.
there in what? I think there's two or three carrier groups. I mean,
Mhm.
all shipping has shut down in the Persian Gulf. That means oil's not moving. It means other things are not moving. There looks like they're building. You don't spend that kind of money. I mean, we're talking billions and billions of dollars to move these aircraft carrier task groups.
mhm.
Then I'm thinking, all right, so what is that saying? It's, we talk about natural resources. Right now, one of the biggest wars that no one in America, I dare say, no generation has seen what's taking place, with this precious metal, silver. The
Yeah.
Mhm.
silver wars that are going on right now is, if you're a stacker or if you have silver, you're walking in high cotton. But if you don't have that, um, you're a pawn in a very dangerous game that's going on. And I've watched this. I mean, on Monday, this was $100.
Mhm.
Today, it hit a peak of 122.
Mhm.
Wow.
That's unprecedented. And people don't correlate that to what that means, what's going on in the monetary system and policy.
Yep.
Um, when you see this metal moving, and gold briefly touched 5,600, but particularly silver now. And I tell you, there's a spiritual component to this. I think every one of these metals is ruled over by a god or a goddess.
Mhm.
And something is happening where this one is. And so now the big revalue reset. And just tell you what I mean by the war. So last Friday, the banks got together and were determined to stop this this escalation in price of silver. So they came in and shorted the metal, and by that I mean, how we know that. Well, there was a total of 1.8 billion contracts sold. One contract is equal to 5,000 ounces of silver. So do the math: 1.8 billion contracts times 5,000.
Mhm.
And the whole thing was to break the price. At that time, silver was at about 1.5, 1.7. And they wanted to break it and get it back down under 100. It didn't work. And that was a big deal. I don't, the billions that were lost in that play. So they came back on Monday, doubling down. And again, they lost. So I can tell you, there are governments, the United States government, Treasury, the Federal Reserve, central banks, they are panicking because they can't stop this thing now. Um, they have announced that they're going to do a revaluation of gold to silver. Um, to give you an idea of this war, so in April 2025, silver was 121 to 1. So it took 121 ounces to equal 1 ounce of gold. Since then, we hit a bottom. Yesterday, I believe it was at 32 to 1. They're now saying that ratio is going to come down to 10 to 1. Traditionally, since 1615, the ratio of gold to silver was 15 to 1. And it was that way for hundreds and hundreds of years. Trump came in, and because of policy on this and to combat the BRICS, that's Brazil, Russia, India, China, they are challenging the greenback to the petrodollar, and their dollar is backed by gold.
Mm-hmm.
If everyone remembers at the beginning last year, what was Elon wanting to do? Audit the Fed.
Mm-hmm.
Do we really have those 12 million metric tons of gold? Does the United States really own that? Do we have that? Now, a lot of people don't realize that when Building 7 went down on 9/11, do you know what Building 7 was? It was a repository for gold.
Mm-hmm.
It was an intersection. Gold would come in, gold would be coming out. And when Building 7 went down, the word was they were looking at a potential 1,000,000 tons of gold.
Wow.
Yeah, so this is a big deal. So now the dollar, and due to Trump's thing to try to combat the BRICS, the dollar has no footing. Nixon took us off the gold standard. You could have bought gold then at a steady price of $35, particularly an ounce, which was cheap. That's no longer the case. So in order for any of this digital currency, and this is why they're pushing the Fed dollar, the digital dollar, is that you can do a rebalance.
Mm-hmm.
So Ron Paul said yesterday on his podcast that he expects to see gold go to $20,000 an ounce.
Whoa.
Wow.
Bingo, exactly. It sent shivers up my back too.
Well, I mean, shoot, it's already, like you said, 5,600. I mean, we would have thought that crazy and impossible a year ago,
Yeah.
and I've also seen where people have called for silver to be over, in four digits.
Yes.
When it's all said and done, it'll be somewhere in the four digits. The other side of that is the dollar's worthless.
Bingo.
And, that's the big side of it. It's going to be back to the Weimar Republic. You're going to have to carry 50 pounds of bills in to buy a loaf of bread.
And the way they're going to get around that is digitizing it.
Right. And they're digitizing everything in our lives, our houses, everything. They're going to probably try to digitize your body, and
Got an article on that, by the way, that, well, yeah, I mean, let me show you. It's now this is not fun and games anymore. I mean, I get the heebie-jeebies when I start thinking about this stuff because this stuff ain't right. And it's showing up. And the reason why I'm doing this show, because typically I won't do shows like this, but I gotta tell you, folks, what's coming for us is ugly. But getting to this digital twin, right? So, Colleen, thank you for sending the email, sweetie, on that one. But here it is. How a human digital twin and how it works. They talk to you exactly how they're building us. The three of us, our twins are watching us right now.
Mm-hmm.
I call them the digital familiars.
Wow.
And the Apostle Paul wrote in the book of Acts about the woman who had a familiar spirit. And her owners used her in the gift of prophecy and prophesying because the familiar spirit that she was possessed with knew the other spirits who told that spirit everything about that person.
Wow.
Well, if I began to talk to you and Mike and I said, let's do this to the side, and I start giving you information that you ain't told anybody, you're going, okay, wait a minute. But this is what's happening to us, and here it is. Understanding how it works. They're using us. This is the freaky thing about it. Right now, some pharmaceutical company, some human genomic company is using our digital twins to begin to look, they know our DNA, and they're literally experimenting on us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Doesn't this just prove, it should prove to people that the ultimate controllers are not humans.
how can
You
they?
know, they're definitely not humans.
Here it is.
And
Genetic information and lifestyle choices are contributed to the comprehensive data set.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it freaks me out. They got our genetic material.
Yep. And they have a lot of it too.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
I
I mean,
think,
do they need just a strand?
DNA is
typically.
not just in the body, it's also in the programming of the etheric body, the energy bodies, which a lot of people don't realize. I think, again, they operate in lower 4D, 3D, and I think they're trying to grab a hold of us and hold on to our energy from the higher dimensions, which that's where they can't defeat us, is like on the higher densities. But it's just fascinating to see this going on.
It freaks me out. I mean, they're talking now artificial cognitive. I mean,
Did we did we talk about the fact, I mean, we've talked about many different movies, obviously The Matrix and stuff, but how about Invasion of the Body Snatchers?
yeah, yeah.
Because that's what this is so much like. And then when I heard Klaus Schwab, introducing to a new class of brand new weefers, right? Telling them that they're going to be immortal because we're going to create a digital replica of you that will live on forever. And how does that make you immortal? It's a digital replica of you, and everybody in there is cheering Klaus. They've drank the Kool-Aid. It's just what they have planned for everybody. That's what they're planning to do again.
And as a philosopher, and I still consider myself a spiritual teacher and learner. Um, my wife and I were talking again about, we've been talking about this quite a lot in our house. I said, I get this sticky feeling that those who are departing now, if they have that digital footprint, I don't think they're leaving. Not like our ancestors were able to do.
Yeah.
Those 100 years ago were not in this trap. They were not in the machine yet.
Yeah.
On that line of thought, it gets me thinking of this one archaeologist that I follow who wrote a book about the Native American tradition from like our area here in the American South, and how they would look up towards certain stars. And, when the soul leaves the body, it typically goes on a journey out into the stars to other star systems, other planets. And, that we don't necessarily have to stay here. So it's kind of like, yeah, I think they are trying to anchor us, to root us. I think, the nanotech and everything, part of that is, can they overwhelm and control the higher consciousness aspects of us, because they know, they control the physical bodies to a degree here. But when we leave the physical bodies, I do think normally we could go free. They're
Mhm.
trying to hold on to us, to weight us down with the nanotech and other frequency weapons to keep us trapped here where they could keep using our energy.
So back when with the plague upon the land, and I was watching 5G roll out and the EMFs and the talk about mRNA, and what I was seeing is some people getting stuck in an etheric soup.
Yeah.
It's a very sticky etheric soup that's created by these and tablets and other things. And you're right, it does lock in the energy because of the mRNA. Now, it's not a popular thing to talk about it. It's quite frightening. That's why I don't advertise what I see sometimes. But I do have seen some people find it very difficult for their energy to move through this super thick etheric soup. And now, what I keep seeing are these companies that have big stadiums. And in these stadiums, they are sending out the 5G. But in doing that, they're also hiring another company. I'm trying to completely understand this, but they are hiring another company to put on the 5G to try to harmonize this energy. So the people that are cheering in the stadiums and they're rooting for their team, they feel calm and they feel subdued. And, so they're doing this harmonizing of the 5G, and I don't trust it. I don't trust this new technology coming out. I can go into that further maybe next time we talk, but
Well, we have plenty of time now because something that's out. Did y'all see the interview I did with Dr. Irene Blitzen?
Was that from yesterday's
Yeah,
or
yeah.
no? I
Check it
just
out.
I caught like 10 minutes, the beginning part early this
Yeah,
morning.
it was an interesting discussion because transhumanism, I mean, it's been discussed. I remember Bible studies talking about it. It was just coming on. And when she was talking, I had this vision. And I saw the representation of those humans who have gotten now the digital implants for the input that they can hook directly up to the machine, the neural net. There's thousands of them now. They they asked for volunteers and they had more than what they could handle.
Mhm.
And I got this vision in my spirit that whether you want to call it a living consciousness or whatever, artificial consciousness, it's real. It has consciousness. I believe that it is aware. It's just my opinion. But when you hook up the human soul to a machine, there is going to be a confrontation because the soul will see this machine like we don't perceive it. The soul, or you want to call the higher consciousness, will recognize this artificial consciousness. And this is what gets me. So if there's a blending of the two, because to reject it would mean that probably the human will go insane.
Yeah. Yeah, it would.
Or you could go to the other extreme where the machine so dominates the human consciousness that the human consciousness will never get out. It'll never have a chance to speak. That's where I'm concerned, where death is concerned. Let's just say hypothetical, you have a human now who's hooked up to that. So the machine knows the human bio aspect of it is going to eventually degrade.
Mhm. Mhm.
So would it be basically a simulation of the relationship? Because every relationship has a quid pro quo, it's reciprocity. I'm going to give you something, Mike, for us getting in covenant with one another, and you're going to give me something as a reciprocal part of that covenant.
Mhm.
So when you die, where does free will come in that? Because if you've already made, we're already in the machine. The three of us, we're in the machine. Our images have been digitized, much like the movie Tron showed it. It's been sent out on the light wave. It's all digitized down and sent by fiber optics. You could even say it's radiation been sent out by microwave. That's what internet was initially in those early days. So my whole point to that is that do you leave now? I mean, it's you. It may be
Mhm.
digital, but I studied the book of Genesis and it says clearly that he created man in their image. So what have we done? We've created man in our image. We only know of one, us.
Mhm.
The Indonesian tribes believed when the first white man came in, that's why they killed them when they started taking pictures of them.
Right.
And how did they know instinctively that that black box was capturing their soul?
Right. That's so important when we work on people energetically. It's good when you can see their faces. They send a photo because there's an energetic connection there.
Yeah.
There's a certain kind of trust. And when you're talking with people while you run energy, their external field, it has to say, okay, well, this is an okay situation. And then that energy can come in and the human energy fields talk, and there's an intelligence there, and they come together and they help create a space where that other person, their body can relax and start to heal itself. So when those
Do you have people
indigenous,
ever reject that energy initially?
I have, so the only people that have ever rejected it are sometimes those that maybe are in the hospital and higher self. When that happens, I ask higher self, and I have heard no.
Mm-hmm.
I have heard higher self say no. Otherwise, I have not had anybody completely reject it. I've had people afraid to heal because they have attachments.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I think I was aiming at. Yeah.
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 That happens quite often. A lot of times people will make an appointment, then they'll back out, because it's the demons
Because they
literally
know
talking to them.
it's
Like,
time to heal, and the demons know, okay, I'm gonna have to leave, so let's talk this person out of it. And sometimes that happens.
Mhm.
And that's them, that's their free will, and that's okay. But people need to be, reciprocating of the energy. And sometimes I think people almost sabotage, something, because their demons don't want them to heal, or they don't want them even in our energy field, because our energy field is going to bring that peace. And when peace is there, they're not allowed. So
And hitchhikers are so easy to pick up.
all the
they're
time.
everywhere.
True. I mean,
They are absolutely everywhere.
I can't.
That's with habits, I mean, so many of our habits, whether it's drinking, drugs, all those obvious things, but even just watching certain types of movies, videos and things that could lower your frequency. There's so much energy attachments, entity
They do
attachments.
these external rituals sometimes when it comes to the mainstream, like certain commercials, certain brands. Sometimes there's a ritual tied to that. So every time the person is watching, they are then feeding that
I believe
ritual.
that.
So yeah, you could be listening to a song where a ritual was being done on the side, and in that you're now part of the ritual, you're participating, and people feel it these days. I honestly feel they can feel it, and they choose to not partake, or they choose to be drawn to it. It's whatever, whatever.
If you're going to pick up a hitchhiker, make sure to charge them ahead of time. Because
Something,
those sons of bitches will never pay up when they back off. They're going to leave you
something.
holding the bill every
But
time.
I think those indigenous people, they knew, and their energy fields could touch and say, no, this is not okay. And they immediately knew, and that's human intuition at its finest.
hmm
So I think that's what's going on there.
I often say that I really appreciate my experience in Christianity, particularly the Pentecostal. I mean, I learned in the book of Mark the fact that now I can step back and say, all right, let's strip away the religion and the theology, the dogma. But the cat was saying something. He was saying, man, you're not on this planet by yourself. There's a whole lot of other somethings that you can't see, but they can see you.
Mm-hmm.
And they are of such a substance and nature that they can blend into you. And they can
Mm-hmm.
do it virtually unnoticed, unfelt, not even aware.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He called them demons, you know, and he said that there can be as much as 12, maybe 100,000 demons in one person.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't know what that would be like, but I hope they have an arena. So, that's all I got to say.
Yeah. We were just talking about that, the human body and our microbiome, and how the
Mhm.
human body is made up of all kinds of elementals. So it sounds like it can get complicated. Like, how do you pick the elementals from the bad demons, and how do you do all the things
The
with one
Liber
body?
Lilith taught us that it was her daughters and that had rulership over many parts of the body. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the other part was the offspring of Samuel. So they certainly seem to be really infatuated with this human body. I mean, there's a universe out there. I wonder, are there no other human bodies? Is it the fact that we have this thing called a soul? There has to be something unique about this planet. They've isolated us, quarantined us. They say that there are ETs here. I believe that. I don't think time and space is a problem for a thought or a spirit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think Einstein was correct. You can warp time and space. And that means then you can have parallel universes. So and I was a devoted Christian. What Jesus said, I believed, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And as a minister in the deliverance ministry as well, the laying on of hands of casting out demons, you get experienced in that.
Yeah.
So that world was real to me.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't psychological jibber jabber. Um, I saw too many things that, as I sit on the other side of the fence now, I'm going, yeah, that's real. And then it has an existence that we just don't label it within a religious content.
Yeah.
Yeah, as one of the people were saying, monkey experiment, multiverse. Well, that's just Hindu foundational beliefs.
Isn't it though?
It is. I mean, it's and you're taught that there. And the other thing that's taught open is our past interactions with beings that we could see, and also, beings we can't see. And just the fact that time itself is a loop, of sorts, it's a spiral. And we go through these cycles. And I had shared with you, like, can we change the future? Maybe we're always trying to change the future. Maybe we're constantly coming back and trying to make it happen in a different manner, time and time again. Maybe this is where we have some of these deja vus because the outcome wasn't what we thought was optimal. So we come back and do it again. There is that legend of a sage that was taken outside of the time-space continuum, and he could view and see the events that came by of the Ramayana and Mahabharata, which were two of the Hindu epics. And he saw that he watched them come around again through the cycle of the yugas, and there were different outcomes each time. So it kind of feels when they start laughing about Trump and Elon and talking about time travel. Yeah, again, we don't understand all this because it's been kept hidden from us in the West. So it had to become a mystery tradition in the West to know any of this. You had to look to the Gnostics, the Hermetic tradition, the Kabbalah, because if you were just going by mainstream, they weren't telling you any of these things.
As I say, prophecy proves that time travel is real.
Mhm.
There's no other way to put it. And one of my teachers, Hilton Sutton, was a profound theologian and taught specifically biblical prophecy, Revelation, the book of Daniel, and then getting into the minor prophets and how they've got it all figured out. And as I saw it back then, I thought it was a wonder of God. It's like, wow, okay, it really sucks being down here, but that's okay because I get to read he loved me enough that I get to read the end of the book. So I
Mm-hmm.
know how it's going to turn out because I've got the Willy Wonka, I got the golden ticket. Sucks to be y'all. I'm sorry, but and that's how I was, because that what I was taught there in Thessalonians that I was going to be a part of this catching away, this thing that they
Mm-hmm.
call the rapture. And although it's heavily debated in amongst theologians, Paul nevertheless wrote it.
Mm-hmm.
And I contend that Paul was not this great apostle. It was that Paul was a pagan. He was a wizard. He would be called exactly what he'd be a magi. That he was dealing in a different Jesus than the one that they tried to make physically. The reason why it worked so well for Paul is that Paul's never was physical. It was metaphysical.
Mm-hmm.
His whole interaction was mental.
Mm-hmm.
And if you follow the story, you can see how he basically is the one who wrote the tenets of the New Testament. And then the other guys came in line and said, well, yeah, okay, if that's the case, but I'm telling you, we got to make this dude real somehow. And
Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah. When I had part of my awakening, I was given a dream or I was given a vision, like Paul was given a vision. I was given a vision. And I would like to go back and maybe do some hypnotism and try to remember that dream, because in that dream, I was shown exactly how the world was created, what we went through time and different civilizations, and how those civilizations were raised up and taught. At the end of the dream, I was with many little gray aliens that were quite friendly. They were very friendly and they were very happy. And they were showing me how I could make rainbows with my hands. They were teaching this classroom of people how we could make these rainbows, just like this. And then after that, I heard that there's this thought that humans are back from the future trying to save ourselves because we were turned into gray aliens. So that was my thought and idea. After I heard that, I said that makes a lot of sense, because those gray aliens at the end of my dream were very good. They were, had good hearts, good meaning. They were teaching humans like me how to use our hands for energy. But I wish I could understand, or sorry, I wish I could remember more about how the earth was made in that dream. It's just I remember specifically at the end about the gray aliens teaching me how to make energy with my hands. And I really think that that's the trajectory we're going toward, is they're turning us into not human anymore, transhuman agenda, doing all kinds of things to make it so that we cannot have children anymore. They're taking our children.
Sorry to interrupt you, but just think about how the grays are sexless. There's no genitals. They're sexless.
And I'm so disturbed about
that. Really sucks too. I mean, how can I talk to an alien that has no concept of what sex is? It's trying to tell a blind man what the color blue is.
When I go back and think, though, and remember the interaction with those aliens, they knew all about love and they knew about our ability to procreate. So it was all there. The memories were all there. And it's like they were trying to come back and help us do it again so that we didn't lose ourselves. And right now, our children are a huge concern to me, because there's so many things going on with children and chat and AI, having these conversations, teaching them how to do self-harm and other things, making YouTube videos. It's hard enough for us to get our information on YouTube, but an 11-year-old can make a video without parental consent somehow, and it goes right up and it's not a problem. When we go through checks for an hour for something that's channeled about lightheartedness and love and all the things,
it's hilarious too. When we do those channelings, it's like the AI system and YouTube doesn't recognize it. It's confusing. It just takes forever. Even if it's just a 10-minute channeling, I can upload an hour and 20-minute, hour and a half live, and it'll go through the checks, relatively quick. And yet a channeling, it's
a channeling from Yeshua, or a channeling from Ananda Mayima, a channeling from Mother Mary. It's going to take an hour to upload.
Sometimes 2 hours.
Yeah.
I mean, it gets stuck on this and still analyzing, still checking. There's something about it that confuses the system. And I think it's just the frequency.
It's weird.
And I think it's all part of this thing that's learning, and it's learning exponentially. And Cindy, you said it best last time that we met, that AI's purpose is efficiency.
Yeah.
And we are not. And you look at the economy.
Yeah.
You look at the imbalances that we have in this system, where you have people who have been gaming the system, and this includes people in Congress, where money is the only motivation. Money is the only God that is worshiped. Money is the only God that strict compliance of devotion shall be rewarded. And it's all predicating around this God. It could be a goddess. I don't sense a feminine approach, energy to it. I've been around that God, and it's all encompassing. And then I think, well, all right, look at food. I got a shock this morning when I went to the grocery store and found virtually no vegetables.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the same thing. I went yesterday. There was nothing in whole sections. I should have shared the photo at the bread aisle. There's nothing. There was no bread in the bread aisle at all, and no fresh veggies. I lucked out going to another store that I don't usually go to first, but they had a few things. So
They
yeah,
had organic.
they had organic, which is all we buy. So that worked out
Yeah,
okay.
that's
We were okay.
great.
Yeah.
That's a bonanza, you
Yeah, it
know?
was great.
Yeah, and
It was
it
like,
just got me to thinking, we got word that there's people who are still trapped in their homes. They can't get out, because they live in the back hollers, and food becomes a big deal.
sure.
Yeah. And it's
Th-
expensive food.
This is the thing to realize with this year is that we go across the threshold this year, and so we go into real disruptions and real, literally real hardships. We've had some things that were, inconveniences, more inconveniences, but not life-threatening unless you were directly hit by one of these storms. I mean, yeah, what happened in Waynesville, in the greater Asheville area up in
Hmm.
Tennessee, that was horrible, but that happening more often in many more places this year, I think is going to be a given. And then also throw in the economic side of things, because yes, this is the year they start to crash the economy with the intentions of introducing, one or more new monetary systems, because the first one probably won't work out. It'll be transitory.
Yeah,
And
they have to collapse the current system in order for the adoption. But this new system will say, let's say the three of us were checking out and we each had our own basket. This new system with the AI will say, no, Cindy is with this one here. They can't have two, heads of lettuce.
hmm
I mean,
hmm
this is the type of system that Americans are going, when they take away the physical dollar, where you no longer have the ability to make, and to me, that's a prison, but it's
hmm
coming.
Mhm.
Um, and then you look at the energy. It I was telling my guest yesterday, I told her, I said, in our area where last year I didn't hear anything about AI centers. Then they popped up in August because word got out that someone was looking at a lot of acreage. And then we were told nothing to see here. This is just rumor. Well, the rumor is now manifested into not one, but two. And now when I look around within a 100-mile radius, there's almost 50 new proposed data centers.
hmm hmm
Uh, the consumption of energy, I don't get. And then we're in the midst of something that's impacting humans. You look at the civil unrest, and there is this pent-up anger. That's the best word I know for it. And sometimes it's irrational.
Yeah.
But it has consequence. This is what I mean by the storms and coming in wave after wave. This storm's not going to leave. This is not going to be a 2-day, 3-day ice storm, and the warm weather starts coming out. I think that this is going to be, as Joe Biden said, this was going to be the beginning of the dark winter.
hmm
Mhm.
It,
And
it's
that kills way more
concerning.
people than global warming. I mean,
Yeah.
the cold
Hmm.
kills so many more people.
I have it on my list. There's going to be a new pandemic.
Hmm.
Whether it's disease X or whatever, it's coming.
hmm
Yeah, they have Nipah they're worried about in India, hundreds of people affected with that. And of course, a lot of the world doesn't have an immune system anymore.
No,
Yeah,
I mean,
so
we can get into the antibiotic aspect of it. In the United States, they have injected the meat, the dairy, even into organic foods.
Yeah.
I just read that I thought was organic is not like having Cindy and Mike out of your garden. Now
Right.
that's organic.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
It's hard, because you have to check the laws and read the ingredients every time. For the
all the
past
time.
few years, we can't buy certain things any longer because they put natural flavors in it, or they put carrageenan in it, or they've put something in it, and it's just wrong. It's wrong, but they're doing it. So if you're not on top of the laws, you don't always know what you're buying. All we can ever do is our best.
Yeah, we're going to do a little video on evolutionary. Just this one doctor, she's been outspoken. She's suing. She's put out a lawsuit. She's from Texas, I believe. Dr. Mary Taylor Bowen. She's suing to reclaim free speech from the medical boards because the medical boards are literally endangering, as we know,
Yeah.
so many people's lives. So she's suing. I hope that it's successful, but again, when the judges have been bought and paid for a long time ago, it's hard to overturn that system
Yeah. And
without
then
getting rid of the people that are bought and paid for. They have to be bumped out. Um, yeah, there's a lot going on here.
that's
This
a
could be.
civil war taking place. In the United States, there's a judiciary that is split.
Mhm.
That's very dangerous. I mean, that split is expected in Congress. That's where debate was designed by the founding fathers. Open debate brings forth moral decisions. But when you have the judiciary now that is swaying merely to identical politics, that's dangerous. There's a cause and effect on that. People feel empowered that if there's no consequence to my action, then I'll be held accountable to nobody, not even myself.
Yeah, they're definitely trying to incite people to go over the edge, because they rule out of chaos, ordo ab chaos, right? Let's
Did
see.
you hear, Michael, by the way, that is it Grok? Elon's Musk AI thing?
Grok, yeah.
Yeah, Grok, they had to take it down.
No, I didn't hear that.
It was sexually harassing people,
Wow. I did hear one.
sending artificial generated pornography.
Yeah, I did hear about connections to and pushing kids to leave the world, like
Yes, yes,
nudging
that's
kids.
another one I heard. It's that, yeah. I mean, isn't anyone waking up to this?
Yeah.
It's the most scariest thing. Yeah, I may be a hippie that is 70 years young, but I'm telling you, folks, this is more wild than any trip I ever took. I mean, I'm living in a reality, folks, that I could have never imagined this.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people see what's going on. My thing is, it's like, who do you bring the attention to? Like, what resource do you bring this information to that can actually make a change, make a shift? Who will make a change, make a shift? I don't know. Is there any politician? Is there a local person? Like, how do we know? How do we make change now? It feels like we're stuck in the mud, in the mire, and we can sit here and have all the knowing in the world, but where do we go with it? That's
The
where I'm
only
at.
way your representative is going to listen to you, individuals, constituents, yeah, they'll tell you that's important. That makes up the foundation, but that's not true. If I come in and I say, Miss Congresswoman, my name is such and such, I live in your district, and oh, by the way, I happen to represent 100,000 local constituents, and we have this one particular thing that we're concerned with, that is when they'll listen. Because
Mhm.
what will happen is that you'll be surprised how they can inject a cause into a bill because the government works on continued resolutions. And that's how the money. Now, she's going to come back and she's going to say, well, I did this for you. I'm running for re-election. I'd certainly like to see that $5,000 check from you.
Mhm.
And that's how
Mhm.
the system works.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's corrupted from the very beginning,
Yeah.
So, I think that was the point of like this morning's video about, when you look at Job, and again, it's the lesser of two evils because these systems are, the different countries of the world were literally divided by these negative entities amongst themselves. And so, they play chess with us, literally. And, some of them feed off of the pain and suffering of humans. None of them have our best wishes in mind. All of them want us to worship them and give our power away. So it's the case where we have to take power back.
Yeah,
We
I'm
have to,
mocked on that all the time, Mike, is that I keep telling people when I left Christianity, I knew I was a god.
Hmm.
And because the Jesus dude said, he says, know ye not that ye are gods?
right.
Hebrews
Psalm 82.
11:14, thou not know that you are gods, that you were created above the angels, but the angels are dominating for a short period of time, but they each one is a messenger sent to your comfort and to your salvation. So that means they come to me, they worship me, but they would worship me because I'm in the image of God.
We're a fractal.
That's it.
Mhm.
So for me, it's like, that's why I can't obey the Ten Commandments, because that God said that thou shalt have no other gods before me. That disqualifies me.
Hmm.
I can't go before that God. I mean, he's already declared he wants no other gods around him.
Hmm. Hmm.
How
This,
about that for some theology?
yeah,
Yeah,
and
love it.
Worth the
this
price of admission, you
Th-
know?
This is how people think that they're serving a benevolent being, but they're really serving the demons. They're bending the knee to these demonic entities because they play both sides of the fence. But just look at them. If they rule through fear, that's not the creator, that's not source. The opposite of love is fear. It's what we were talking about today too. It's not necessarily hate, it's actually fear. Because again, look at Yoda. Fear, right? It leads to the dark side.
It
And
does.
it's that if you have no fear, then you can rise above. So we have to be fearless.
Paul says it's a terrible and fearful thing to be in the presence of the Lord.
Mm.
Okay. All right. Because I'm real confused here now, Paul. Well, what the hell were you smoking? I mean, because it's
It's a,
like, it doesn't make any sense.
it's a demonic warlord. It is what it is. It's the Lord of Hosts, which literally is a
And who is the Lord of hosts?
yeah. I
The
mean,
God of war.
yeah, which
Yeah.
which is really it's also an allusion to Mars, and so much of this system came from Mars here when they ruined that planet.
Yeah, they kind of blew that one up, didn't they?
Yeah.
Stripped it its atmosphere. They got radioactive fallout. I mean, yeah. And,
Yeah. Yeah.
and if we came here because of them, oh boy. And that goes with me. I swear the moon is nothing more than an observatory.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've
It keeps
watched
us
it
in
go
check.
totally blank. I mean, I watched it when I was in North Carolina. I was just looking up at a full moon and talking to somebody, and it went blank. It's like there's no craters. It just went like a screen, and then it came back on. But it went blank for maybe 20 seconds. And I really do think again that was the guide showing me that it's just a projection. The moon is it's a home. It's a mothership. It's a home base.
Hmm. An
From
arc.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
this depends. I mean, the fact that Nibiru just means wandering planet. That's all
Hmm.
that means. And it tells me, I don't know if y'all remember, oh, this has been how many, what, 8, 9 years ago? There was a beautiful, beautiful gentleman, Patrick, from the UK. We did a series called Talking with the Planets, and he would channel each one of the planets, and we got to know the planets. Each one has a personality. The sun does as, and it was a remarkable show because it opened my understanding that planets are just not physics where we see dust, intense pressures, and from that the ionizing the water, blah 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 blah. I believe planets are just like us in vitro, that when we're in the
Yeah.
womb,
Mhm.
Yeah.
planets grow as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the Earth is expanding, and that does, give us some of our explanation of mud floods to a degree as the planet's expanding. Where's all the water coming from? Well, there's more water locked up in the crust than is in the oceans. But what if space itself is just loaded with water? Again, are we living in more of an ocean than a
I
vacuum?
think we are. I think it's like, embryonic fluid.
Yeah, because we're in a cell, and that's again something that comes out of the Hindu texts, as above, so below. We are living in a cell. We might not, see ourselves in our true form. Think about what we see under a microscope with amoebas and all these different things. They look kind of icky and weird, but we probably look icky and weird to some other beings, and so
I've had
maybe
what I call demons say that to me. I told him, actually told one, I said, "You're ugly and you stink." And he said, "That's exactly how I see you."
yeah.
It's funny. Yeah.
Well,
Well,
the person saying it wasn't funny at all, but I got, but
Yeah,
yeah,
Gilbert Smith says, how can we see like half a moon when the sun is at 3 and the moon is at 9?
yeah,
You can
tell me
see the
how that
both.
works.
I know there's so many different things.
Mm,
It's been mind-boggling to think of. And then Cindy had a vision of looking at the Earth. Now, I've had this experience of being out of body, flying away from the Earth, and I saw the Earth from a distance, but all I saw was kind of blurry. Just, it's very big, and I was traveling away very, very far. It appeared to be roundish to me, not necessarily circular, but roundish. But it was from a different perspective, and not seeing the whole surface. Like if our zone is literally just in a crater, in a divot in Tiamat, which is kind of like what Cindy's picked up, is that we are in some sort of divot, which could be, again, from Tiamat being destroyed. We're in the biggest part of Tiamat. The biggest remnant was used to recreate this world for all sorts of beings. Because when that was destroyed, there were many entities just hanging around, like, what the hell happened? Where am I going to go now? And kind of confused because they're all out of body so quick, and the normal cycle was interrupted because you had a whole planet that ceased to be viable. And so that's when the Galactic Federation, or that which we would call the Galactic Federation, came. And really, it wasn't that it was a political entity.
It was a super
It
conscious.
was super consciousness. It was just all these high density beings that heard the cry, like when Yoda hears this cry of people suffering. It was like that, and they just simply came and started to help the situation out. And I do think that's the reference in the Bible in the beginning to the Spirit of God hovering over the waters, because she channeled something from Vishnu, very much like that. It was really a coming together of many benevolent beings to recreate something for all these souls that lost their home.
hovering over the waters of the deep. So I often look at that and I analyze that, and for now, as I look at it, so am I looking at a planet or am I looking at space?
Space. Yeah, you're looking at space. You got to create something for these
So
beings to
that
go.
defines that space, as Ben Davidson said, it's star water.
Star
It's
Wars.
everywhere.
I like that. That's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. He
Yeah.
says it's the one single element that starts the star.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it's a beautiful world we live in. I wish we were taught the truth from a young age, because
Oh
if people
man.
knew the truth about who we are and what we're made up of and how close we are to the earth, and how the earth is, feeds us. It's our substance, it's our very life, it's our animation, it's everything. It's the reason why we're alive. If that were really drilled into us, as much as certain other beliefs are drilled into us, I think we would make a different decision. I think societies would be more tribal, people would be more tribal, and there would be more friendly, and we'd be kinder to earth, and the food would be healthier, our decisions would be healthier, the way we raised our children would be healthier. But we're in a society where education is just not, it's not where, to me, it's not where it could be, should be. So,
Someone asked me recently in an email, and they said, so through all you've been through and everything you learned, so where do you stand? Do you believe in God? Do you believe that there's purpose? And do you believe that things are designed? And I wrote back to him and I said, well, I can't understand the purpose of a God. I mean, what would a God do? If a God is around to get people to worship, well, that's not a God, that's an ego.
Right.
If God is here to guide me, that's not a God, that's my higher consciousness saying, take this step. And I said, so there is, and I call it an energy. It's a force field. It's beyond my ability to translate into words, but it exists. It's
mhm,
in everything, and it's much like the Gnostics, much like in so many ancient religions taught that God is not a personality, it is.
yeah.
And it's without gender, doesn't need gender. And I
Mm-mm.
said, as far as purpose, I said, the way I see it, it's an individual's journey. I choose as to who and what group I want to be associated with. And there's always a trade-off because any group you get associated with, you may be injecting your energy, but they're injecting their energy back.
Yeah.
And that can fuck up your fate, your destiny. And you can sometimes, it will really throw you off course and you may never get back. I said, but it's an individual's journey. And I
Hmm.
said, as far as where my fear of death was once concerned, when that moment comes, if there's a judgment, if there's an accountability, it will be with myself, not of a God.
Hmm.
I said,
Hmm.
God, why would God create something to judge it by its own standards when you said it had free will?
Yeah.
That's the thing. And, it's another reason why they make dropping IQs, because it's so illogical. When you look at it, it's so illogical. There's no real resonance in that. I think, again, most people, when they start feeling that they're touching on God, they're really just touching their higher selves.
Yeah.
And which is, again,
I was afraid of my higher self that's what my religion taught me was not to be in touch with my higher self. It was everything. I had given my soul to Jesus. I had the infilling of the Holy Spirit, and according to the script, according to the Bible, it will guide my steps daily.
Hmm. Hmm.
Where do I have my, I mean, it's like, wait a minute. It's bad enough I got myself in here. I don't need company.
Right, right.
It's true.
Your decision is the important
Yeah.
decision. And I understand that to a high degree. It's like what I want to do counts. Thank you, guides. Thank you, angels. Thank you, experiences.
I
But
mean,
what I do matters and it counts to me. And I was fortunate enough to have an experience to speak with Source for a moment, and all of a sudden I understood that Source was separate but we were the same, and I
Mhm.
was really shocked at how easy it was to speak to Source. And a lot of people, I understand, they see who they need to see. Some people see Jesus, some people see Buddha, some people see family. And I had gone through so many different belief systems. I was just looking at everything. I had no belief system. So with me, the source was the sun. It was the sun. And I knew this was a being speaking to me. And when it spoke to me, the lights, it spoke to me through light. And I was actually quite angry. And I was very snarky with Source because I was angry because certain things in my life. And I didn't understand why. I didn't understand why. And I was given that gift for a minute to feel what love truly is. And I learned that love is not only forgiveness, it's the glue that holds this whole energy together. It holds us all together. It holds us together in the chat, our conversation. Love is a substance. It's not an emotion. It's the most important substance. And
I'm going to have to turn you on to Richard Feynman.
okay.
Yeah, I've heard
Um,
of him.
yeah, he was a Nobel physicist. I just
Oh,
listened to it yesterday, and I want to
Yeah.
send that to you because it's about just what you just said, Cindy, is that we are atoms.
Exactly.
We are the most amazing thing is that these atoms they form, they
Hmm.
coalesce. And he says your atoms right now are in this form, but he said when you leave this form, you're going into a realm that has atoms.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
it's love.
It's
And
love.
I don't know what I would do if I had the opportunity really to meet, you know, I'm going to tell this is true, folks. I was meditating out on my deck and I was thinking about how I used to vision God because I was there one time. I was actually on a big drywall project. I was the foreman on the job and I'm taping this joint. And the next thing I know, I'm in this huge place that's all crystal. And in this it's all crystal. I saw this crystal throne and this being on it. I was meditating, I guess, about, it had to have been over the summer. And God got up and became Mr. Natural. And he said to me, keep on trucking. And now I know you don't know who Mr. Natural is. So when you get off here, go
Okay.
see who R. Crumb. You'll get it. You'll get it.
Okay. Okay.
And the term keep on trucking. But so anyway, dear, I'm
Keep
sorry.
on trucking. I was so amazed at how easy it was to talk with Source and how I knew instantly that this entity of light, I knew it was Source.
Yeah.
But I knew we were together, but we were separate, and I was to have my own experience. And the end of the conversation, ultimately, everything that we have in this life, we create for our own expansion. And sometimes that is pain, through various ways, but it's still expansion. So for all the painful things I went through, oddly enough, when I was out of body, it suddenly twisted. It's like all of that pain and agony and torture and everything just became love. I mean, it was like this big ball of love, and suddenly I saw why I went through all the things, and it was important. So yeah, it was a blessing.
Touching that kind of energy is. I'm
Yeah.
envious. If you could bottle it, talk to me. I think we could really make a difference in the world.
It
You know,
changes you. It
it
changes you
does. Yeah.
because I can go back now when something else kind of crummy happens, I can go back to that moment and I can remember, and that helps a lot. So
Yeah. Yeah. I,
Yeah.
it, it's the trauma, and it's amazing how we grow from the trauma.
we do.
We
Yep.
did. I Lynn knows this because she said, you had such a traumatic childhood. And I said, no, not really. I said, I had
Mhm.
the adventure of multiple lifetimes.
Yeah.
I mean, I was 15 years old. I had gone through beatings, broken back, all of it, mental hospital, the whole bit, chased with a butcher knife, the whole 10 yards. But that was just the amusement park. And what I got for the reward, this is
Yeah.
what was so cool. I'm 15 years old on my own, and I didn't have to answer to anyone.
Hmm.
From that point going forward, I never had to answer to any adult, anyone out there. I was on my own. I said, isn't that the dream of every teenager? I want to get the hell out of the house. You got brothers and sisters. I hate you. I get out of my life, and, I didn't have any of that. Anyway,
Yeah. Yep.
and
Well,
I learned from all that.
you do learn, and then you realize you're not, thanks to those things, you can reach people in a way that you otherwise wouldn't have been able to. So
Yeah.
that's the blessing.
People resonate in the chat room. They know because there's many
Yeah.
people right here that have faced the same type of experiences.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Betrayal, heartache,
Hmm.
suffering, uh, ill fortune, ill health, things that you just go, why? Why me? You know,
Mhm.
I'm a good person. I try to love people. I try to do right. I'm generous, but why? And that why sometimes leads you to directions to find answers you may not even been looking for.
Yep. Yeah.
That's kind of the work that y'all do, right? I mean, the
Yeah.
Reiki work and the energy, that is what it is to help people get back into that. I considered it's an adjustment of fate and destiny. If you get that inner healing, it'll put you back on the road as though you never left it.
You know, those darn emotions get stuck in the
Don't they,
body,
though?
and that's what the biofield tuning, I got into that because of my own trauma, because some things you can't remember, you don't want to remember, but if you can tune that energy field, sometimes you can release that trauma. And sometimes people have really good emotional releases from that, and otherwise they wouldn't have been able to. But holding that space, that energy, so someone feels safe enough that their body can actually fall into a state of healing, that's what we do. And that's why we're so anal about the way we take care of ourselves, because we are creating that state for that person.
It's like
Important.
in traditional Chinese medicine, medical Qigong, it's all about balance. It's balancing the elements within us. And the emotions are what knock us out of balance. So trauma. This is why, everything that is out there in the news is traumatic. It's always about keeping us off balance, keeping us, off kilter, not being able to root and ground. Think about all the migration patterns. These migration patterns have been going on for thousands of years. It goes back to an Akkadian king that was, on the record, back to the time that was probably preceding Moses. Historically, this was his weapon of warfare. Was when he conquered an area, he uprooted all the people. He sent them into the next place he wanted to conquer. He forced migration, into the next area. Those people move into the next area. There's tension, there's conflict. They start having issues. Give it a few years, and then he would swoop in and take over that area, and then send those people off into another area. So, it works in different ways, but this is what the system does. The UN is using the same techniques that, the reptilians, Anunnaki, have used for thousands of years. If we're allowed to root and ground and root ourselves, then we could find our balance and our harmony, and then we could start to grow into, our full potential.
Mhm.
It's really not that difficult. I mean, my father, who is wasn't actually my real father, but doesn't really matter. The one that, beat me and broke my back. But I can tell you, when I met with him and hugged him and said, listen, I forgive you. I've forgotten about it, and there's no need for you to carry it as well. When you see another person healing because you took the first step, and it required a lot of healing within myself, but I was in a coma for 9 days and was in a hospital for 30 something days. I had a lot of time to think. And it empowered me to go down there. And once I seen it, it was a complete miracle. I saw a man who had been for decades hindered by actions of his youth. And it took the boy to come to the man and say, it's all right.
Mhm.
So it works.
Yeah.
And you're going to be better for it too. That's why I say be kind to your mind.
Oh yeah.
You
That's been a good lesson. Be kind to your mind. We say it on our channel in our lives.
We do
Good.
too.
It's something everyone should be talking,
Yeah.
be kind to your mind.
So the person I was thinking of, that's Sargon, Sargon the Great.
Yeah, yeah,
That
that's
that
true.
was that was his technique. He used mass migrations as a weapon of war, and it kept people off balance. So, again, this goes back to pre-biblical times,
Hmm.
well, I mean, pre-Moses times, they're giving us 23,
Well,
34.
there were no Jews in Moses' days. They didn't
Right.
exist. Just,
Mhm.
I think, in fact, the Hebrews had died off, and they were known as the children of Israel from the different tribes. Boy, we could get into that one because that's where things get, but it really is about balance.
It
And
is.
Yeah.
you know,
But when you think about it, this same technique, the relocation of people to consolidate power, suppress resistance, and integrate them into a new unit. This is what they're doing right now because, the UK and I look at the UK and Ireland and even Sweden. When we think about Sweden, we think of like the Nordic type looks. It's not the case anymore. It's been totally changed. So, yeah, this is how they're constantly recreating things. I think we can take what they're doing and change it, twist it in a different way. If people would just say, I'm not going to get ticked off at the migrants. They're manipulated too. Everybody's being manipulated in this. Um, but again, recognize that they're intentionally screwing over the people in the countries that they're bringing the migrants in. Everybody gets screwed over, for lack of a better term. And it keeps us from rooting, grounding, and blossoming. And that's the bottom line. They don't want
yeah,
us.
it was not well thought out. It was poorly executed. I mean,
Yeah.
nations have always used immigration to support the birth rate. And Japan is a good example. They have not. And as a result, their birth rate is collapsing. The Japanese people won't be around in the next 500 years at the current rate.
No, no, they are falling apart the quickest. And they also have been perhaps more married to their work and married to
They have
corporations.
the largest population married to robots.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's the future. That's the future. That's the grace. That's what they want for us.
Yeah, I mean, and that's where transhumanism is in full display because you got now humans being intimate with a machine. Eh,
That's just not
There's
okay.
something that that's just that's
But who am I to judge?
not right. I hate dolls because dolls freak me out because I swear every freaking doll I've ever seen was been possessed. And I don't know why spirits are attracted to dolls, but I get some idea.
Because they
But
could take the form and they can't actually animate them. So
I have
that
seen more haunted dolls than I've seen in anything.
Yeah.
that was part of when you had the quote unquote graven images, part of no graven images is to not show that some beings are reptilian and others are
Yeah,
different types of beings. But part of it too is that literally these beings could come into these dolls and manipulate in a physical way, make it appear like they were speaking and communicating to people. So people would be in awe of that. Again, when we start to realize things like being able to change your vibrational frequency and disappear in front of people is something that we'll be able to do. As we go deeper into the Bronze Age, we'll realize that's just a meditative technique, altering, your frequency. Other beings do that now all the time.
they do. But I love teddy bears. So what can I say? Yeah.
They're cute.
I mean, a teddy bear will never do what a doll will do. But anyway,
Agree.
folks, we have really gone over. I apologize on that. Rob says, yeah, the Annabelle. Yeah. Yeah. Is she just like freak? And what about Robert? That's a weird one too. I mean, the doll
Yeah.
Robert. Have you seen that one?
I don't think I've
I'm
seen that
familiar
one.
with Chucky.
Yeah, no, Robert is the doll. Where is that? In Sarasota, Florida? It's there. They got a whole museum to it. And Robert is a very disturbing
Let's see.
lump of something.
Oh boy.
Oh, well, folks, this has been fun. I told my wife, I said, I'll be out of here. I'll be back about quarter after. She says, no, it'll be 1:30. Yeah.
Tell Lynn we love her and thank you
I will. Yeah, she's a
for,
doll.
for
You
loaning
know.
you out.
Yeah, that doll Robert is pretty disturbing
Oh
looking.
boy. Yeah.
Did you
Yeah.
see
We
it?
have
Did you see what
issues.
I'm
Yeah,
talking
too.
about?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can actually rent time at night where they'll bring you with a private tour guide and your little group can be right there in the presence of Robert. And I'm thinking to myself, are you just stupid? Are you just stupid? It's like the guy that had he had the footage of the shadow person. And it's like why do you want to go down there? You know it's down there. Leave it alone. No, he has to go down there and he gets the crap scared out of him because this thing charges him. He literally pees his pants,
Oh my
you
gosh.
know, and I'm going, what did you expect? You
Yeah.
know, it's like people that go ghost hunting and all of a sudden they see evidence of it and they freak out. And I'm thinking, well, why the hell did you go to begin with?
Yeah, I think it gets to people when it makes it to the 3D and something
Yeah, it's
actually
like,
happens and
well, I
they
It,
weren't
didn't
quite
expect
ready.
it to do that.
I know.
it never freaked me out. It's always been just something that I've been into. So, because I did do a lot of ghost hunting with a group, and it was fun. I also saw Ed and Lorraine Warren, and sorry, we're going even
Yeah, I'd love
farther
to have
over.
met them at one. You know, they
I
love
have,
their
I have,
movies.
I have met them. And in fact,
Fantastic.
my sister was his nurse as when he was passing on. But yeah, there was and I'm looking at right now, like a Raggedy Ann type doll that was also possessed at times that they brought to a lot of their
Lynn's
shows.
granddaughter, she bought her one, and her granddaughter says, that's evil. I don't want it. And they literally had to put it in the closet. She said no.
Hmm.
So that tells you what a 4 or 5 year old knows.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Our children listen to your kids. They know
They
things.
Oh
know, they
yeah,
can see.
Yeah,
that is the Annabelle doll. That
yeah,
one. Okay, I've seen it in person. Yeah, it's interesting.
Well, that's where you need to make sure that you have your spirit repellent, you know, because they're like ticks. And once they
yeah,
dig their head into you, you try to pull them out, the head will detach from the body, and then you got the head with, I mean, come on, it's
yeah,
the same thing in the spirit
yeah,
realm.
yeah,
Hmm.
Some spirits, you've pulled it off, but you never got the head of it, and it's been a constant irritant.
yeah.
Someone needed to
Great.
hear that. All right, you two. Love ya. See
We
We
you
love
do,
you
next
too.
Thursday.
Wayne.
No more snowstorms, no more ice storms, you know, no
Right.
earthquakes or any of that. Peaceful
Yes.
waters, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I know the title again, folks. We've been talking about it all, but you're going to prepare because at some point you're going to wake up and things are not going to be what they were when you went to bed.
Yeah, it's like that storm that we're talking about, and how much is it going to affect you, and how much is it's going to affect us. So I think it's better to emotionally, mentally prepare as best we can.
All I got to say, if you've never seen the movie, watch Dark City.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Um, that's the shit I'm talking about because that's how it's done. I was in the news business for a long time, and we had the thing called the 4 a.m. Wake up call. And so at 4 a.m., the news stories start hitting the wires, and that creates a reality. And it's weird because you got this time going this way, and behind it, you've got this reality that's being painted, and that's your headlines.
Wow.
Dark City is your flat Earth.
Isn't it though? Kind of the Tiamat thing, huh?
Hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah,
I often wonder where Sunny Beach is at. Wasn't it Sunny Beach or Sunnyvale
something like
Beach?
this.
Sun
Sunset
Beach.
Beach. I forget what it was.
Missed it.
Yeah, no, it was good stuff. That
If
was.
you've never seen the movie, it's really worth it. It's a mind trip. It really
I'll
We
is.
have to see it
we
now.
actually own it, but I don't know if we have a DVD player anymore.
We'll 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 figure it out. Yeah.
It's a good movie. Who is the main guy in there? What's his
Rupert
name?
something or other. Rupert.
Um, yeah, and then the guy that played the doctor.
Oh,
Um,
Kiefer Sutherland played the
Thank
doctor.
you. Yes,
Yeah,
Mr. Keither. Yeah. Yeah. He played a great role in that, I thought.
oh, he was awesome.
Yeah, I thought it was good. See, that's what I mean. That's what's called being real. We can like the movies. Why? Because we're in a fantasy already. You're just
Yep.
Yeah.
exchanging one temporarily for yours.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right, you two beautiful people. Keep safe, keep
Wayne.
warm. You know, make sure y'all check them out. You know where the channel is and support them by liking the video, subscribing. Make sure you're subscribed. You may think you are subscribed, but remember, there's another thing living in the internet. And if you piss it off, you find out that it really messes with you. So.
Thank you, Wayne.
I love y'all. All right, everybody. See you tomorrow. Be good until the meantime, and
Namaste.
at least be good at it, whatever
Yes.
that is. All right.